From the Weather NorCal Command Center, this is your morning update.
American Door Company has been family-owned and operated for over 29 years, supplying Northern California with quality garage doors, garage door openers, and installed with the best service you'd expect from a locally owned company. We serve all of Northern California from Willows all the way up to the Oregon state line. Give us a call today.
Good morning, everyone, and happy Friday. It is a great start to our day, and it's a cool start. But before we jump into the forecast, just a reminder, Cascade Christmas is happening this weekend, starting today and to the 23rd, and then you have chances to even see it starting the 28th after the holiday into next weekend. So if you have a chance to step out, there's 6 tries that you could get to go ahead and see Cascade Christmas. Now, as far as active weather goes, we're going to see a little bit more of a calmer pattern when it comes to that wet weather heading into your weekend, but it's going to be a cool start to the day. So a little bit on the chilly side heading out in some locations, especially near the higher elevations. We could deal with some frost and even some fog, dense fog in areas, and even sometimes we can see that patchy fog heading out. So keep in mind as you are traveling. Now, it may impact some areas in the morning, especially dense fog areas further south on I-5 and also along the coast. But we will start to warm up, I would say, starting off on the chilly side. Again, we do have the chances for some frost developing. There is a little bit of a frost advisory as well in Trinity County, and then again some dense fog, but warming up into your afternoon. And then this weekend we are looking at conditions fairly on the mild side. Drizzle is possible though, starting on Sunday, but we're not looking at any heavy downpours as we did these past couple of days. So going ahead, jumping right into the quick cast, we are expecting temperatures out the door again on the cool side. We do have that frost advisory in Trinity County and a little bit of some of that fog as well. That frost advisory will expire at 10 o'clock this morning, but it is going to be a chilly start to the day. So just about 36 degrees heading out. You may need those extra layers getting through the last day of the week before the holiday weekend. 48 degrees in the valley, so slightly warmer as you're heading out, but near Willows and Chico area, we may deal with some of that dense fog. Again, that dense fog advisory till about 10 o'clock this morning. Along the coast, a little bit more cloud cover, 45 degrees. Siskiyou County, 33, so chilly out there. May see some of that patchy frost. Not a frost advisory, but some patchy frost out there for you. Modoc County, 27 degrees and 34 in the eastern mountains. So a cool start to our day. We will begin to warm up, not looking at any rain impacting us today or even into tomorrow. The weekend, a little bit chance for that drizzle again, as I mentioned, on Sunday, but that's mainly along the coast. So looking at our future cast, clear skies, a little bit of that fog developing as we see along the coast. Even heading overnight, we can see some of those marine layer clouds, not as thick though. We have more of a clearing for us today, but heading into Saturday, that's when we start to get some of those clouds trying to move back in, but not really looking again at any major impacts as you're heading throughout your Saturday. As we get into Saturday evening, marine layer gets a little bit thicker along the coast, and then we start to see a little bit of some of that fog developing as you're traveling on the 101. Now, we're not really going to feel temperatures drastically changing from yesterday, but again, this morning starting off a little bit on the cooler side. Highs today in the mid to upper 60s in the valley. Trinity County in those mid to upper 50s along the coast. We got low 60s, just about 57 in Eureka as well as Fortuna. Cooler near the mountains again, Lassen Park, 38 degrees. So chillier starting off this morning, but warming up fairly mild as we start to get into our afternoon. And our weekend, again, shaping up fairly nice out there. Looking at our 7-day outlook, Saturday, Sunday for us in Redding, it's going to be in those mid to upper 60s tomorrow. So today, tomorrow, one of the warmer days. Sunday, a little bit cooler into your week. We're looking at temperatures mainly in those 60s as well. Now, as far as rain chances go, we're just going to monitor that heading into Wednesday, Thursday, and even into next Friday. Right now, we're not looking at anything too impactful for your holiday, but there are some slight chances that we're keeping an eye on. Red Bluff area in the 60s all throughout the weekend, as well as Chico, some sunshine. Once we start to clear into the afternoon, some of that fog will start to burn off out there in those areas, and looking at those 60s into the weekend and into next week. So our 7-day outlook is getting a little bit more changing for us along the coast. We're starting to see into the weekend, again, mainly dry conditions. Late Sunday afternoon, looking at into the evening, this when we could have a chance for some drizzle, even Monday. So not looking at heavy downpours, maybe a light rain into Monday. And then we also have some chances heading into Wednesday, Thursday next week. But keeping an eye on that. We're not looking at a complete washout. I don't think it's going to be too impactful for any of your holiday travel. Inland, again, a little bit of a drizzle and then the chance for some rain heading into next week. We're going to keep an eye on that. Mount Shasta area, we're seeing temperatures in those 50s starting off this morning. Overnight, we're still going to feel those temperatures in those 30s, so getting cooler out there. And then heading into Tuesday, Wednesday next week, keeping an eye on any chances for any rain. Again, not looking at anything too impactful, but those chances are still there. Susanville, chilliest start to the day. We're going to feel temperatures in those 20s and then even warming up into the upper 40s today. So one of the cooler spots as we're heading out throughout the area, but warming up fairly nicely into the weekend, back into the 50s. So taking a deep dive into our forecast, we're going to go ahead and look at what we could expect. There are some frost advisories as well as dense fog advisories to talk about as we're heading throughout our morning, and we'll check all that out right after our sponsor, Stash the Hearing Aids.
Frank, come help with the dishes.
What?
The dishes!
I heard it the first time. I just got back from Shasta Hearing Aids, but she doesn't know it yet. What?
Forget it.
Well, welcome back, everyone, and we are going to take a deep dive into our forecast. So again, talking about those frost and freeze alerts, we do have a frost advisory. So you see the color codedness right there at the top of the bar. Now, the frost advisory is what we're talking about highlighted for most of us here in Trinity County. So I'm going to go ahead and move over this little thing right there. Okay, so we are noticing in Trinity County that frost advisory temperatures will get to about in those low 30s. So what this frost advisory could impact is really any sensitive vegetation out there. It's going to be chilly, of course. Make sure you're covering up all of those external extremities like your fingers, your nose, your toes, things like that if you're heading out, especially if you do work outdoors. Traveling along 299, heading east or west, there may be some frost out there, but we're not looking at any hard freezes or freeze warnings, but still frost development is possible. So early morning walks, maybe walking the dog, may not be too happy if they don't like the cold. But again, a little bit of that frost advisory, which can also bring a little bit of some fog out there as you're traveling along the road. So we could get some patchy fog as we're heading out across the area. Now, looking at a little bit of those chances for most of us staying clear of any frost throughout the day. It will expire again just around 10 a.m. this morning. So this morning as well, we're looking at that dense fog advisory. Now, areas right here in Butte County, we can see that fog advisory till about 10 o'clock this morning. So again, give yourself enough space between you and other vehicles. Make sure you're taking your time, maybe a little extra time heading out to work today. So if you're traveling along 99, heading north or south, or even have it on 70. Willows area, if you're traveling also in Glenn County, we're going to see that dense fog advisory till about 10 o'clock this morning. So keep in mind, heading south is where most of this dense fog will occur. So until 10 o'clock, so that's your morning commute. If you're heading south and maybe you're heading to work and maybe you're even heading into areas near Sacramento, just keep in mind again that that fog will be out there in that advisory till about 10 o'clock. Now with dense fog, some areas could be a little bit clear, and then all of a sudden it could pop right back up. Even within a half a mile, visibility can and will drop to less than a quarter of a mile at times. So it will impact your travel as well as visibility in areas in Glenn County as well as Butte County. And if you're traveling a little bit out of the area further to the south, again, that's until this morning around 10 a.m. So keep that in mind. But for the rest of the area, we're not really seeing too much going on out there. Mount Shasta, things may get a little bit patchy on the fog. And then again, where we have that frost advisory in Trinity County. But other than that, things are looking okay. Until about 10 a.m., all of this should kind of start to clear out of the area for us. Now, heading further into the day, we're going to start to notice less clouds along the coast. So a little bit more on, I would say, developing into a better kind of pattern into your weekend than what we've kind of seen. So looking ahead, no clouds really for us along the coast. So clear conditions. And then we also start to see some of that sunshine into your afternoon, warming up as we get into those mid to upper 60s in the valley along the coast, and those upper 50s, even some low 60s out there for us. Saturday is when we can start to see a little bit more of that cloud cover start to return into the area, and then also start to cover into areas further into the valley, just a little bit of those lines. So it may get a little bit of that drizzle overnight, may see some dew out there, but you see that rain popping up Sunday evening. Well, not widespread. We're getting the tail end of a system that's further up towards the north, and that's just going to allow us to get a little bit of those sprinkles and light rain showers later in the afternoon Sunday, even into the evening. Mainly we're going to just really deal with clouds and a little bit of drizzle. So nothing too impactful if you do plan on heading out for your holiday travel. Looking at our long range, we do start to get more of those clouds moving in Tuesday. And then next week, again, chances for some light drizzle as we head Sunday, even Monday morning. We can see some drizzle along the coast and try to reach areas near Trinity County. But that's all from the system that's further up towards the north. We're really not going to be impacted by it that much. No accumulations as we saw last time we had a system move through. So getting into your Thursday, into the holiday, we do have a system further up towards the north. So if you have any holiday plans heading up near Portland, maybe Seattle, and get a little rainy out there. So if you're traveling, driving, keep that in mind, but not looking at, again, nothing too impactful, but it also could maybe delay a little bit of flight. So keep that in mind, again, as you're traveling for next week. We're not really looking at major chances for rain, but those slight chances may be there. We get a tail end of that low pressure system and that system pushing through further off towards the north. So we are going to keep an eye on that for you all. Now, as far as our marine alerts, if you have any holiday plans heading out on the boats, that small craft advisory that we have, and that's going to last for much of the morning along the coast, and we are getting some choppy waves out there, so it can make beach conditions a little bit on the hazardous side as you are enjoying your day. Already seeing wave heights as we get further into the afternoon and evening above that 10 feet range in some locations, about 5 feet near the bay, but it could all start to change as we head overnight into Saturday. We get some conditions a little bit choppier as those swells do start to build up. So again, we do have that small craft advisory. So for your holiday, keep in mind things may be a little bit choppy as you're heading out on the waters. May not be advised to do any kayaking or even any surfing. So we're going to see the small craft advisory stick around for us today, even heading into the weekend. Looking at winds though, between 10 to 15 knots, wave heights a little bit on the higher side, 13 feet at 14 seconds. Tide though, starting to recede a little bit, just around our low tide about 5:40 this morning, high tide at 11:46 this evening. So later times for the high tide moving in, and then we do have our sunrise just around 7:11, and earlier sunsets around 4:54, so not right before 5 o'clock. That beautiful sunset, and we'll have clear skies out there, so maybe a good time to just go ahead and take a look at that. Heading out along the coast, we will have clouds not really impacting that for us today. Looking at our neighborhood forecast, Trinity County, we're going to see temperatures again upper 50s, 60s getting into the weekend, and then also those chances later in the week for a little bit of that drizzle. We'll keep an eye on that, as well as along the coast, upper 50s for today, and similar feeling temperatures into our weekend. And then next week we do feel temperatures trying to reach those low 60s. Getting into inland area near Hoopa, low 60s today, a little bit warmer tomorrow, just about 65 degrees. And then Siskiyou County temperatures just in the 50s heading out today, warming up slightly tomorrow. Overnight temperatures will be on the cooler side. And looking at Modoc County, temperatures just about in the low 20s in some areas waking up this morning. Chillier start to the day, upper 20s possible, layering up But we do get into those 50s as we get into this weekend. Again, keeping an eye out on any rain chances next week. They are slim, but they are still there. So something we're seeing developing right now. Temperatures as you're heading out the door in the eastern mountains, upper 40s for the highs, but out the door on the cooler side, upper 20s, low 30s. So again, it is going to be a chilly start to today, 50s into Saturday and Sunday for us. In the Valley South, temperatures reaching into the mid to upper 60s. One of the warmer spots, but this morning we're heading out, dense fog advisory in those areas, and we'll start to see that fog recede as we head after 10 o'clock this morning. Mid to upper 60s for the highs, lower 60s as you're getting into your weekend. Similar pattern as we get into next week, and we're going to feel temperatures highs in Chico just about 65 degrees. A little bit of that morning fog to contend with until about 10 o'clock. 64 degrees tomorrow as we head into your weekend. Mostly sunny conditions. We'll start to see a little bit more clouds developing next week. And then around the Valley North, temperatures mid to upper 60s. Warmer spots in Redding, 66 degrees. Near Shasta Lake, just about 65 degrees. So getting ready for the holidays, heading out, not really seeing any impactful weather for us into the weekend. Other than that, fairly nice. Make sure you're staying hydrated if you do plan on going on any long walks out there. Heading into next week, temperatures in those 60s, fairly nice shaping up for us. Upper 60s as we get into tomorrow with more sunshine in store. And then next week, well, we got our holiday week ahead. Again, not seeing any impactful weather that will get in the way of any of your plans, but there may be a slight drizzle or two, light rain chances as we head further into the week, possibly returning back from your holidays Thursday, Friday. But we're going to keep an eye on that. Chances are low if we do see anything. Well, I hope everyone has a wonderful day, and we will see you soon.